A quick word about Chuck Schumer, whose time on Earth seems to be represented by how far down his nose his glasses are. Schumer is the leading Democrat in the Senate, which frankly isn't ideal given how weak his responses to the Trump administration have been so far. For instance, when it withheld hundreds of millions of dollars from universities, claiming it was to combat anti-Semitism, Schumer went on TV to proudly announce Democrats' counterpunch.
So we sent him a very strong letter just the other day asking 8 very strong questions about why this isn't just a pretext.
Well, you'll let us know if you get a response to that letter.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal when you're getting dunked on by a CNN anchor. But I do love the way he said, we sent him a very strong letter, as if that is literally anything. He might as well have said, we had a gerbil fart in an envelope and hand-delivered it to Trump's childhood neighbour. Either way, you are not getting through to him. But I actually want to talk less about Chuck Schumer himself and more about two of his favourite people, Joe and Eileen Bailey. They're a couple that, throughout Schumer's career, he has talked about a lot.
They're a middle-class couple in Massapequa, which is a suburb on Long Island. Joe and Eileen Bailey, this middle-class couple, they bought into Reagan Republicanism in 1980. Joe and Eileen are worried about losing their jobs or their friends' jobs. The Baileys really don't believe in trickle-down. They don't believe in a whole lot of government spending, but they believe in tax breaks for kids to go to college. He's an insurance adjuster and lives in the New York suburbs. By New York standards, he makes $50,000 a year. If he lived in the middle of the country, he'd make $40,000. Wife works in a medical office. She makes about $20,000. She might make $15,000 elsewhere. And, you know, I have guided my political life through the Baileys.
OK, first, Chuck, stop putting all their business out there. Joe makes $50,000 a year, Eileen makes $20,000. They own 2 cars, a Taurus and a Honda Odyssey, and they have sex 3 times a week. Joe usually initiates, but their therapist is encouraging Eileen to get more in touch with her sensual side and surprise Joe with some sexy lingerie when he gets home from insurance adjusting, which again pays him $50,000. But you heard him. The Baileys have guided Chuck Schumer's political life, which is a little weird given they don't exist. Seriously, he invented them. Schumer first introduced the world to the Baileys in his 2007 book, Positively American, Winning Back the Middle-Class Majority, One Family at a Time. In it, he mentions the Baileys an astonishing 265 times in 264 pages. But he'd apparently been talking about them for years before the book was published. One of his former spokespeople said he's always asking, what would the Baileys think? And to be fair, Schumer acknowledges that some may find this a little weird.
If you ask my staff, I've been talking about and talking to the Baileys for 15 years. I have conversations with them. One of my staffers once said I had imaginary friends to the press. Got me in some trouble. But these people are real, and I respect them, and I really love them, and I care about them.
OK, sure, but they're literally not real, Chuck. You invented them. And look, I'm not saying that imagining a manifestation of your target demo's wants and needs is necessarily a bad thing. I do it myself. I have a made-up couple that I consult when making this show. Jerry and Patricia Globdukes from New York City, Iowa. Jerry's a dental hygienist who makes $37 a year, and Patricia's a snake masseuse who makes $60,000, but she might make $20 million elsewhere. I love the Globdukes, and I fear them. Occasionally, my staff will say, should we make the show fun this week and not talk about something incredibly sad or boring? But the Globdukes will shout, no, John, you need to do a 25-minute deep dive about corn, so I say, well, if that's what the Globdukes want, let's give it to them. But even if you can understand the potential utility of creating a prototypical voter in your head, this goes way beyond that, because Schumer's given the Baileys an unnecessarily detailed backstory. For instance, he said Joe takes off his cap and sings along with the national anthem before the occasional Islanders game. OK. And when their daughter Megan, oh yeah, they've got kids, by the way, told Eileen a friend was caught cheating on a quiz, Eileen was appalled because lying is not tolerated in the house ever. Also, Eileen apparently helps with the clothing drive at her church, and her father had a prostate cancer scare a few years ago. Again, this is a made-up family. None of these people exist. But wait, I'm still not done. Apparently, Joe Bailey would never have a goatee. They watch Sex and the City and Desperate Housewives, though Joe pretends not to like either show. They think most baseball players probably take steroids, and if they were to ever go out to a Chinese restaurant, they would order Kung Pao chicken. That is a J.R.R. Tolkien level of gratuitous backstory, and I don't say that lightly. But the Baileys do seem to have a lot of sway over Schumer's politics, as he's brought them up when discussing everything from the 2008 financial crisis to cybersecurity, which he framed as protecting the security the Baileys feel when they go online to buy birthday presents. And to hear Schumer tell it, the Baileys' views can be complicated.
The Baileys are not anti-immigration, but they are anti-illegal immigration. They really dislike the Enron executives who stole money, but they hate the people who burn the flag even more. They are pro-choice. They understand that a fundamental decision like that should be made by the individual, but they're glad their church isn't.
Really? Are you sure about that? I'm struggling to picture someone saying, I'm definitely pro-choice, but when I go to church and hear my pastor say that abortion is murder, it does make me very happy. And look, I'm not saying that no one could think that, but if you're claiming the Baileys' views are those of the typical middle-class voter, you're taking a much bigger swing. It'd be like arguing the average American's #1 priority is replacing Lincoln on the $5 bill with Pikachu. I'm not saying no one thinks that, and having seen it, I might even be one of them, but let's not pretend it's a mainstream belief. And the more you hear about the Baileys, the more it feels like they represent a very particular slice of the electorate. Schumer said that they supported the civil rights and anti-Vietnam War movements because they understood that morality was on the side of the protesters. But starting in the late 60s, when those protesters cursed the returning veterans and Stokely Carmichael advocated armed resistance against the white ruling class, the Baileys were lost, which, fun fact, is both a misleading history of the civil rights movement and what people who never supported it tend to say. And yet Schumer will insist the Baileys' concerns are widespread and that they could just as easily have been the Ramirez's of Port Chester, the Kims of Elk Grove, California, or the Saleems of Dearborn, Michigan. But crucially, for all he talks about how much he loves the Baileys, they don't seem to return that love, because in 2021, he explained how the Baileys had voted in the past few presidential elections.
They voted for Clinton and then they voted for Bush. They're not a member of one party or another. They're independent.
Did they vote for Donald Trump?
Both of them did in 2016. Joe Bailey still did in 2020 with misgivings, but she didn't.
Yeah. The Baileys voted for Trump. And just this March, a reporter actually got an update on their voting history.
You said the Baileys voted for Trump in 2016. They split Trump-Biden in 2020. I'm wondering who they voted for in 2024.
Probably voted for Trump. Probably voted for Trump. But if you ask them why, I think they'd say, above all, crime.
OK, so to recap, of the 6 votes the Baileys had across the last 3 presidential elections, 5 went to Donald Trump, most recently because of crime, which, for what it's worth, was down in every category last year, with violent crime at its lowest rate in 20 years. They also think the civil rights movement went too far and aren't against immigration, just illegal immigration. And this is the couple who, in Chuck Schumer's own words, have guided his political life. And at this point, it might be worth asking, is that a good idea? Because the truth is, Schumer's devotion to his imaginary friends may help explain why he and the Democratic Party have been so underwhelming in recent years, because he seems to be focusing a huge amount on the interest of the Baileys from Long Island, while forgetting other voters actually exist. And look, I'm not saying that he shouldn't think about how his messaging plays with suburban middle-class voters with pretty right-of-centre views, or that they're not theoretically winnable in the future. What I am saying is, by tailoring your policies so heavily to them, you are pulling yourself to the right. And in doing so, could be alienating not only the rest of your base, but new voters looking for a party that speaks for them. So, Senator Schumer, at least when it comes to formulating policy, it might be time to break up with the Baileys, which really shouldn't be that hard to do, given that politically, it seems they've already broken up with you. And I know you are not going to listen to me. After all, I'm not a fictional couple from Long Island. But luckily, we actually managed to track down the Baileys, and they have a special message just for you.
Hi, Chuck. I'm Joe Bailey.
I'm Eileen Bailey.
And we're the Baileys.
We're just your everyday middle-class couple from Massapequa, Long Island.
I work in a medical office, and I make about $20,000 a year.
And I'm an insurance adjuster, and I make about $50K a year.
Though, if you lived in the middle of the country, you'd make 40.
No kidding.
I don't know why 40 is such a funny thing to say.
We wanted to talk to you, Chuck, because apparently you've spent your whole political career thinking about us.
Which is a bit weird, and to be honest, a little creepy.
You need to talk to some other people, because I know you think you can win us over, I mean us specifically, but I gotta tell you, there's no way that's happening.
I voted for Trump in 2 of the last 3 elections.
And I voted for Trump in all 3, though I had misgivings in 2020.
The point is, Chuck, we're not who you seem to think we are.
We're Republicans, Chuck.
Yeah, we're super Republicans.
I think they're putting litter boxes in schools.
Every time a celebrity dies, I tweet, vaxxed.
You wanna hear a weird, crazy thing? I get super, super mad when store clerks don't say Merry Christmas, even in June.
I got banned from Chili's for screaming at someone wearing a mask.
I take ivermectin every day out of spite.
Here's a question, Chuck. Where's my straight pride parade, huh?
There is only 2 things that we are afraid of: rainbow fentanyl and drag queen story hour.
And also the New York subway.
Well, yeah,
obviously.
it's a terrifying place. We both have 10 My Pillows each.
Yeah, not to sleep on though.
Nope.
They're terrible, but we do have a ton of them because we support free speech. Also, let me just get this out there. If you're putting your pronouns in your email, you should be scooped up from your home, you should be thrown in jail,
Scoop.
and you should be never let out.
Scoop.
Just scooped up.
Oh, I stormed the Capitol. I got this from Pelosi's office. I'll hang this sign right over my dick.
And then I just come in on that dick and I slosh it around in my mouth and I slosh that dick around some more.
What else?
What else?
Our own kids don't even speak to us, Chuck. You shouldn't either.
And we're not saying you never have to think about us again.
But if you ever do, try and keep in mind that we are not the people you are making us out to be.
Also, Chuck, we fucking hate Kung Pao chicken.
We're actually like pretty adventurous eaters.
Yeah, I lean toward Cantonese dishes. Talk about some sweet and sour pork, talk about some rice, talk about dumplings with the tang sauce.
Right? I myself prefer Sichuan, Dan noodles, twice cooked pork.
The point is, stop patronizing us, Chuck. We contain multitudes.
Yeah, most of which fucking suck.
So go make your political decisions by talking to a broader range of people, Chuck.
Free yourselves of the Baileys.
We'll miss you, Chuck. We really will.
Yeah, but we'll always be here for you, pal. I mean, not really. We're fictional people, Chuck.
We're in your head, you fucking weirdo.
Bye! Hey, that really turned me on. Do you want to get out of here?
Big time.
Fuck under that sign.